This AskReddit user asks, how could 2020 possibly get worse? It's hurricane season, and wildfire season, and tornado season, and duck season. A catastrophic earthquake on the west coast of the U.S., followed by a Category 5 hurricane that goes up the entire east coast. Followed by super shark tornado down the middle? Guess I'll move to Hawaii. It's an election year. It could get a lot worse. Not sure, but the first 5 months feels like 5 years. Was talking to my wife about Hong Kong protests and Australia wildfires, and it seems like it was a couple of years ago. I'm watching the US to see how the elections are going. That could really give 2020 the cherry on top. We're on like the 6th era of 2020 by now. Remember Trump's impeachment trial? Way back in the first era of 2020? Holy ST. Was that this year? The trial began on January 16, 2020. Also in 2020, Kobe Bryant's death. And I think the Teapot Dome scandal. Knocks hard as FK on wood. I'm genuinely fearful these protests are going to bring about a second, even deadlier wave. Think NYC, but in almost every major metro area. That and the economic and social fallout. Impending hurricane season. The election. It could for sure get worse. And that's not taking into account all the surprises this year yet has. On the plus side though, maybe we will find some vaccine, and maybe these protests will get the uppity-ups to take seriously the needs of the 1%ers. Israel declare war on Palestine. China does anything. The San Andreas fault line goes off. Yellowstone has a full-scale eruption. Aliens. Zombies. A huge solar flare. America has a civil war. Lord Voldemort returns. It rains spiders in places other than Brazil. A Sharknado. Asteroid impact. Nuclear war. Rick Sanchez shows up. Lol, China does anything. The immortal Queen of England dies. Nah. She'll just hit the next stage of her evolution. When she reaches 100, she'll shed her current skin and emerge as her younger self. Tactical nuke incoming. Some sort of large-scale electrical failure would be the icing on the cake. Oh, please not that. Quarantine plus no internet would suck so much. That would be great. Sure, I wouldn't be able to work. But I'd stop getting bombarded with bad news, and I'd finally have no excuse to not read and exercise more. I'm in as and would surely die from the heat. Kraken. 2020 after seeing this post. Write that down. Write that down. No kidding, why are we giving 2020 ideas? It's a trick. Send no reply. Delete this before they see it. Ice cream prohibition. If we were stuck in a 2020 time loop. Australia is told to prepare now for the coming bushfire season. Oh goody. It's a bit like painting the harbour bridge. By the time you finish at one end, you have to start again at the other. The government taking away more internet privacy. They actually renewed the Patriot Act. Meaning they can look through your browser and search history without a warrant. So yes, it got worse. Better reason to use a search engine and browser that doesn't remember that st. Edit. Shout out to DDG. Edit 2. And get a VPN. A trustworthy one. Shout out to Link. How do we know DDG doesn't lie? Yellowstone. A nearby gamma ray burst hits us. It's pretty much game over. A quick end is too merciful. I don't feel like things work that way in 2020. The magnetic poles are going to shift. So the compass in my car's rearview mirror will be inaccurate? Jumps out window. The accelerated trials for COVID-19 vaccine gone wrong. Instead of preventing infections, the vaccine helped the current strain evolved into something much more deadlier. Space bees. Edit. Space wasps would be worse. As far as I know, the Earth is still rotating on its axis. So that could, stop. There was an XKCD what-if scenario for this. The long and short of it was a brief period of high winds and tsunamis because of the deceleration. But if the Moon was still orbiting, it would get the Earth to start spinning again, since people are questioning it. Here it is. And the Moon just blew up. Portals to Oblivion. Yai 2 Bethesda series in 2020. The return of dragons after centuries. And so the wheel turns upon the last dragonborn. America spirals completely out of control. Like total anarchy. Microsoft decides to flex and lock all pirated content on our SaaS. Always on. Spy telemetry boxes. Well, in the case of my country Chile, we had massive protests since October. Government handled it pretty bad and our economy crippled. Now with the pandemic, again the government mishandled it and we are having a pretty nasty second wave of infections. Only thing that would make things worse would be one of our recurrent earthquakes. Chile is known for having devastating earthquakes every 10 to 15 years. Last big one near the capital was around 10 years ago. If government mishandles it again, our economy may hurt in an irreparable way. Edit. Cago mi inbox CSM. Hey. Another Chilean here. And yeah, that's the worst I can imagine here. I'm not Chilean but I lived there for a while and it's been hard to see all the issues happening there. It's nice to see all these wee ones around here. D. You could step on some Lego. You're walking through a war-torn city. A cold mist occasionally shooting up your spine as you carry a bag full of scavenged food across the town. The world hadn't been the same since World War III. The third wave of the pandemic. The re-election. As you get back to your safe house and begin undressing and unloading what you gathered. You stepped on a Lego. Pain shoots up your leg as you collapse to the floor holding your foot. Your vision starts to go black as it begins to become unbearable. It seems like your hard work in the end didn't really pay off. In the end, it wasn't any of the apocalyptic things that done in The Survivor of the Wasteland. Instead, that it was something far less deadlier. A Lego. The internet goes down. So far things haven't been that bad for many of us because we still have the most advanced entertainment and communication systems humanity has ever known available at our fingertips 24/7. We find out that this just the demo version. Random chimp event. It wasn't chimps. But we did have this last week. Link. Mirror. Link. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. We find evidence of alien life but it's like the assimilating one from The Thing. We find alien life? More like alien life finds us. Or it's a bunch of greedy space corporations trying to use us like the Belgians used the Congolese. A Vogan constructor fleet appears in the sky. Hanging in the air just like bricks don't. To construct a hyperspace bypass. Several X-class solar flares that completely destroy global telecommunications, household electronics, and power grids all over the world, thereby knocking humanity back to the Stone Age. Insert whatever time period you think would best suit the scenario, i.e. 1950s, 1900s, 1800s, etc. Wait, maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing to have happen. Edit. Several people seem to be focusing on the Stone Age part of the above statement. If it makes all of you feel better about this hypothetical scenario, I have struck out the Stone Age part and left it up to the end user to decide how this scenario plays out. It would be closer to Mad Max. Wouldn't it? Gas power would still work. True. Mechanical systems would still function. Problem is so much of our infrastructure is computerized and electrical that losing all of it at once would be quite catastrophic. Goodbye. Reddit. The China-India border situation going from a standoff to a full-on shooting war. And then Pakistan gets involved to aid China. Man, it's gonna be a three-way nuke war. Oh jolly. Wait, why is it so cold out there? And thanks to radioactive fallout. We all lose. Who want to play Fallout? YouTube Rewind. Can't wait to see 2020 YT Rewind, to be honest. Intro starts with Will Smith coughing. Gah. While standing in Australia. That's hot. Saying it can't get worse. The phrase is taboo. One on guy our construction crew would always say. What could possibly go wrong? Just before we were doing something dicey. Like moving something heavy. Every time. George. Just shut up. 3 ancient men found frozen in a pillar in a cavern. With strange masks made of stone scattered around the place. A man-shaped statue falls to earth. Who then immediately joins forces with a blonde vampire with a body like 3 linebackers put together. And has an equally buff psychic partner who freezes time? Joseph would be 100 this year. Perfect time to return. COVID-20. If pandemics are a once-in-100-year thing, there's 1/100th chance another one starts this year. I don't like those odds. Still got second and third waves to come yet. We've had one. Yes. But what about second pandemic? You just had to ask. Didn't you? You will go down in history as the person who jinxed humanity to annihilation. There will be no recorded history to go down in after an annihilation. We'll be scratching Op's name into the walls of our underground cave dwellings as we slowly drift into extinction. 20 million years later, the beaver folk, the new dominant intelligent beings on the planet, will bat their tails on the floor in excitement at evidence that once other beings walked the earth, and will conclude they died out through lack of dams. This is the future I'm living for. Confirmation that the UG-99 stem rust has spread beyond East Africa, the Middle East to multiple points in Europe, East Asia, and the Americas, permanently threatening the global supply of wheat. Global food shortage is one of those things I have heard about and just kind of pushed to the side in my mind because it's too scary to think about. Exactly like I used to do with pandemics. Seriously. No one ever talks about stem rust. Don't worry, I have a can of WD-40. Calling it now, the second half of 2020 is gonna be the best comeback in history. Starting with a Rocky IV montage. Let's see. How could this happen? Australian fires burn away almost all plants except for a small bush that has randomly mutated to resist wildfire. The bush spreads rapidly to cover the whole continent, and bushfires are no longer a thing. Turns out Kobe crash was a ruse so he could do an undercover TV show. Turns out to be the best show ever made. With so much research going into coronavirus, scientists accidentally stumble across a method to cure all types of cancer. As a bonus, it's a non-American company, so it's provided for no profit. Kim turns out to have nearly died but makes full recovery. The near-death experience makes him fundamentally change his outlook on the world, and he makes North Korea an open country that is friendly with the rest of the world. I had to close my eyes and envision this. Life almost seemed peaceful for 2 seconds. Bless you, stranger. I live in L.A., and today I was thinking the universe could truly FK us by finally having the big one strike this summer. But I guess that's just regional and not more awful st for the entire world. Sand Diagon here. IDK if it's just me, but I've been feeling a lot more earthquakes recently than before. Coronavirus vaccine goes nationwide and 2 weeks later 99.9% of recipients become zombies. I like this one. I will buy an axe in advance. Everyone dies. Yeah, I think that would do it. The rest, we don't care, I guess. Yellowstone. At least for the USA. For my country. Jacob Zuma somehow makes it back. Yellowstone caldera blowing would mess up more than the US. Large portion of the world would be FD. Yeah, mass refugees from the US. Not to mention FD world economy and rapid climate change. Whole world would suffer. Likely worldwide famine. Krakatoa in Indonesia blowing during the 19th caused some crops to fail in the US. Yellowstone blowing would essentially start a very short ice age. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.